Do people suffer from dental cavities in heaven? Welcome, good morning. Special welcome to this particularly vexing philosophical and theological question. I hope you're interested. These days, by the way, I'm going to share with you something of domestic significance only. So if you're not interested in homely things, you can skip this video, no harm. You may not miss much. But if you care to see this video, then you decide. Why should I say that in advance? My happiness these days is that my grandchildren are with me, and anyone who knows me also knows that for me, grandchildren are very special. And I'm sure that is so with every other person. But since I'm talking about myself, it's something very special, which is a universal human weakness, as you know. Therefore, I don't have to offer any special apologies for it, and I don't propose to do either. Now, this morning, as I was relaxing, having done 2-3 videos, my grandson came to me. He is a little over 6 years in age. So he has a great deal of experience, wisdom, knowledge. I found him a bit thoughtful, a little more thoughtful than usual. But I didn't want to interfere with his stream of thought, so I kept quiet. Then he broke away from his stream of thought, and then he asked me. He calls me Appacha. Appacha means grandfather. Appacha, how do people go to heaven? What is it that makes a difference? On what basis is it decided that people go to heaven or to hell? So in order to make the situation a little easier for his parents, I told him that children who obey their parents, who take care of their parents, and especially take care of their parents when they're tired. Now, both parents go to work, and sometimes they come home rather tired from work. They have long hours of work. So at that time, if children really bother to make their life a little easier for them, make them feel at home, show your concern, affection to them, such children surely go to heaven. And as I said, elderly people like me who may not care for others, who are likely to be very selfish. Whether you are selfish, respect your age. If you are selfish, then heaven, the warm hospitality of hell, is your legitimate entitlement. These are not exactly the words I used with him. This is not how you talk to children, but something to that effect. So then he said, I will go to heaven. So I said, why do you say that? He said, when my mummy comes back from work, she is very tired, so I just give her a little gentle massage on her head. So I said, that's great. That's exactly how it is. But then I told him that much more than a gentle massage on the head, what will really help parents is that children obey them without having to be asked a second time. Because that's an area where my grandson can improve a little bit. And he also agreed with me that that was the case and there was margin for improvement. So then both of us agreed that he was going to heaven. Then I asked him, once he reaches heaven, what would he do? What would he want to do? He didn't have to think for even a split second. He said, I want to eat good food, good food. So I said, that's a very good thing. You have plenty of good food here also. He said, yes, I have very good food here. Therefore, I want good food there also. I said, as far as I know, from what evidence we have or what hearsay we have, people are not likely to starve in heaven. Whether they have 5-star food or not, I don't know, but they are not likely to suffer from hunger, the hunger pang. So he was quite happy. But then again, he thought a little bit. I said, now what's going to come? Then he says, Apacha, but are there dental cavities in heaven? So now I did not know quite what to tell him, because to say anything definitive about it, I have to make up my mind whether or not really food is served in heaven. Now, that's a question regarding which I really don't have much information. In order to keep a little son or grandson happy, I said that his desire, his dream of having good food in heaven will be honored by God. After all, God is a caring Father in heaven. Therefore, it stood to common sense to tell the little boy that his desire to have good food in heaven is not misplaced. But then how far can this be pushed? Anyway, I told him that dental cavities will not be a problem in heaven, because when we die, our body goes back to the earth, and therefore we leave our teeth behind. So if you have no teeth, then how do you develop dental cavities? The boy looked somewhat reassured, happy. Good. Because just the other day he had a sitting with a dentist. His elder sister also had a sitting. Though he did not have any dental extraction, his little sister needed a little extraction. And from her, he had a rather unnerving description of the extraction of the milk tooth which had got impacted. Therefore, she needed a local injection of local anesthesia. And quite understandably, that was not a particularly inviting prospect for the 6-year-old little gentleman. So he now associates anything to do with the dentist's work as a source of particular and peculiar pain. So the one thing he needed to be very sure about before he took the final decision whether to go to heaven or hell was whether or not there are dental cavities in heaven. So I said that anxiety, that worry, that fear is totally misplaced, because we don't carry our teeth there. Then how can we have, if no teeth, no cavities, no caries? He caught me on that. He said, if I have no teeth, then how do I eat good food? Now that is a point. Now from this, I learned 2 things. That's precisely what I want to share with you. One, even at the age of 6, a little boy knows that for anything that you enjoy, there is a price to be paid. Initially, he was happy to be told that good food will be available in plenty in heaven. It's a good thing. But immediately his mind goes to the consequence. As far as little children are concerned, good food means mostly sweet food, sweet meats. And his parents, being both doctors, have told him that sweet meats are bad for health. They give you caries or cavities. So from eating good food, he immediately jumps to developing cavities, and from cavities, the next of course is to the couch of a dentist, which is a very unpleasant, unwelcome prospect. So whether you are upon the earth or in heaven, if you have cavities, you'll end up in the dentist's couch, which is not heaven really. So the child finds it very traumatic to believe or even think that unheavenly facilities are also available in heaven. They are required because if you develop cavities, you end up there. There is no other way. So the child knows that if you eat sweet meats, you develop cavities, and the consequences follow. The second thing, the second thought that came to my mind. So the child's wisdom, which we take for granted, many of the adults don't have. Most people live as though there are no consequences. Though Lord Buddha took a lifetime to teach people that pleasure has to be paid for in the coin of pain. Every indulgence in pleasure will also be an invitation to pain. But these things do not seem very important to adults. So it goes on. So the next thought that came to my mind is this. When I asked the child, my grandson, what he wanted to do in heaven, he had an answer. But I have asked this question, same question, with many adults, especially those who have crossed the 65, 70 threshold. And especially those who have come to me with the anxiety as to whether they will go to heaven or not, and what's the guarantee that they would. And if they went to heaven, what happens? What will happen to their loved ones? Will they be able to meet with their loved ones who are dead ahead of them there? And all the rest of it, the usual baggage of anxieties that people carry in relation to life after death. And I've asked each one of them as to what they would do if they went to heaven. And believe you me, not one person had a clear answer as to what they wanted to. But at least this grandson of mine knows that he wants to eat good food. But he also knows that if he ate good food, he would have cavities and the consequences that follow. Therefore, the point I want to really bring home to all of you, to me first of all, and then to all of you, is our thinking about heaven, our thinking about life after death, our expectations, our anxieties, apprehensions, all these are pretty vague, without any basis. Unfortunately, these are the very airy substances with which millions and billions of people are scared and held hostage by the peddlers of religion. You ask any priest in any religion you like, they'll have no idea as to what a person's life really is like in heaven. If you come across a priest or a bishop who really believes in heaven or hell, you're pretty lucky. Sincerely, they will of course affirm with their lips that they do, but the point is that if they really believed in hell, they wouldn't behave the way they are doing now. So whether a person believes or not is to be found out not from what he says, but from what he does. Assess a person, this is what Confucius said. Assess a person not on the basis of what he says, but on the basis of what he does. And Jesus also said something similar. He said, judge a tree by its fruits. Jesus spoke metaphorically and Confucius was more direct. That's the only difference. Ask yourself, what will you do when you reach heaven? If you reach heaven, that is. What is it that prompts you to desire so deeply that you want to reach heaven? Well, perhaps only this negative motive that hell is a place of unthinkable suffering and therefore I just want to escape hell and the only other place I can go to is heaven, and therefore by default give me heaven. My dear friends, if that's our idea of life after death, woe unto us. Well, I don't want to say anything more about it. This much I have gathered from my brief conversation with my 6-year-old grandson, and I thought I would share this with you for just what this might mean to all of you. It may not mean anything at all, but just in case some words spark some thought somewhere, it's worth it in these dark and difficult days when most people are so anxious about tomorrow. Jesus said, do not be anxious about tomorrow. The tomorrow will take care of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Let's live this day well. Heaven or hell? देखा जाएगा. Thank you.